value in electric bikes is the Lectric XP, and the newest model, version 3.0, has just been announced. Let's go over what's improved, and I'll give you my first impressions after having ridden it for a few weeks. The Lectric XP 3.0 is a folding fat tire e-bike that's impressively versatile for its price of $1,000. It has a wide range of features that you typically need to pay hundreds of dollars more for, including Class 3 speeds. But real quick before I say anything more, Lectric did provide the bike you see in this video and even recently invited me out to its headquarters to learn more about it and the company. Lectric is not paying for this video and it has no say over what goes into it, but they did provide me with some nice perks recently, so I wanted to be upfront about that. That said, this is not a review, but more just me sharing the facts of the bike, but also give my 100% honest thoughts about whether or not you should buy it. Not much has changed in terms of the overall frame design of the XP. This is the step-through model, but there's also a step-over option if you prefer. It has a very angular design with the removable battery built into the center tube, but there's actually a lot more improvements when you take a closer look. Just like its predecessor, the 3.0 has a 500-watt hub motor with 850 watts of peak power, but with an increased 55 Newton meters of torque to help you accelerate and climb hills faster. It also has a 7-speed Shimano gear shifter, and the expanded 11 to 28 tooth freewheel offers better pedaling efficiency to maintain higher speeds. The saddle has been custom designed to give it a sportier look, and the ergo rubber grips have been upgraded with a softer durometer, giving them a squishier feel. It has a longer 50mm front suspension fork to handle bumpy surfaces. You also get more stopping power with its longer 180mm brake rotors, and the 20-amp controller is able to transmit more energy from the battery. By default, the bike is set to Class 2 speeds, meaning it maxes out at about 20 miles per hour. That's what I have it set to right now, so I don't have to worry about going over the local speed limits on these bike paths, but I'm gonna have to get on the street with the cars soon, so let's unlock Class 3 speeds and see what this bike can really do. According to the manual, to get to the menu, you push plus and minus here. There we go, and then the speed limit is on page 8. And then we're gonna turn it by pushing plus to 100. There's actually a lot of cool settings in here. If you read the manual, you can kind of fine tune the pedal assist speeds and sensitivity and all that. So a lot of control that comes with this bike. So even with Class 3 speeds unlocked, I can still dial in the pedal sensitivity so that a certain level won't get me over the 20-mile-per-hour speed limit. All right, here we go. Level 4, level 5. It's like around 28 miles per hour. We gear up. 6th gear. Woo, little bump, hang on. Don't want to hit those bumps too fast. We're coming up on a hill. Class 3 speeds. Depending on how much you use the motor, the XP 3.0 has a range of about 45 miles with the standard 48-volt lithium-ion battery, or 65 miles if you upgrade to the long-range battery for an additional $500. It also features an integrated rear rack that holds up to 150 pounds. Pretty much every component on the XP 3.0 has been improved for a more efficient riding experience. But I prefer to look beyond the specs and focus more on what it's like actually owning an electric bike. I think a lot of people in the market for an e-bike tend to focus more on the fun factor, but don't actually consider the practicality of having one in their home. You'd think that an electric bike that folds would be the most practical option, especially if you don't have a lot of space to store one indoors. And there are definitely some that do save a lot of space, but not so much with the XP. Unfolded, the bike takes up about as much space as any other fat tire e-bike. It folds at the center of the frame and at the handlebars. However, still one of my biggest complaints is that the hinge doesn't lock in the folding position, leaving you prone to some severe pinching hazards. It's not much easier to carry in the folded position, so I usually leave it unfolded, but the great use for this is that it makes it more easily transported in small vehicles where you can fold the back seat down. That way you don't have to spend hundreds of dollars on a bike rack.
So far, I've spent a lot of time talking about what you get for just $1,000, but I think it's equally important to discuss what you're not getting for that price. The new saddle looks nice, but you'd probably want to swap it out for something more comfortable. There's also a lot of visible cables since the frame leaves no room for them to travel through it. I also don't love that it requires you to leave the key in while riding. That means you can't keep it on a keychain unless you can remove it easily. After recently riding the $2,000 Aventon Level 2 that has a torque sensor, it was kind of frustrating to go back to a bike with a cadence sensor. If you're riding on paths where you have to adjust your speed a lot, like if you're around other bikers or pedestrians, you're going to be playing with those controls or gears a lot more rather than just pedaling faster or slower to adjust your speed. And while we're comparing it to even more expensive electric bikes, there's no rear suspension on this one, which would have helped at those Class 3 speeds on bumpier roads. And if I'm being perfectly honest, I don't think the XP is the prettiest looking bike. If you're interested in getting an e-bike because you saw someone riding something around that looks like a motorcycle, you're probably not going to get that with this one, even though it has many of the same features as some of the less expensive e-motorbikes. The type of rider I think the XP 3.0 would be best for is first-time e-bike owners that are still figuring out how they're going to ride. It's capable of handling a wide variety of riding conditions, it's easily transportable, and at a price that you may not sweat if it turns out you don't ride it all that often. When I visited Lectric's HQ, I got to see the investments it's making in supporting customers with a call center of knowledgeable support staff and a repair shop filled with lots of cool looking mods. Everyone I met seemed extremely passionate about removing barriers and getting as many people on e-bikes as possible. And that shows in ways like shipping e-bikes fully assembled or offering an even more affordable option with the $800 XP Lite. I'm very impressed with all the improvements Lectric has made with the XP 3.0 while managing to keep it at that same price. Can't say that about too many other products these days. If you want to see a full review of the XP 3.0 once I've had a chance to put even more miles on it, I'd like to at least get it dirty enough to require washing first, just give this video a nice thumbs up to let me know you enjoyed it. There's some links in the description if you want to learn more, but thank you so much for watching. Hopefully I've helped you make a decision one way or the other if you want to buy the XP 3.0, but if you're not already subscribed, make sure you do for more electric ways to get around.